see y'all there. Welcome to Stephen Dale Jones Week here on the Boston Chris podcast. What a frickin' treat we have for y'all this week. An incredible songwriter from Hamilton, Alabama, the Muscle Shoals area of Alabama, which has created so much songwriting talent over the decades. And before we get into today's episode, I want you guys to hit that like button down below. If you enjoy in-depth, candid conversations like this one here with Steven, please hit that subscribe or follow button and comment down below your favorite part of this episode. Let me tell you a little bit more about our guest today. Stephen Dale Jones is best known for writing hits such as the iconic One More Day by Diamond Rio, Singles You Up by Jordan Davis, 10,000 Angels by Mindy McCready, He Gets That From Me by Reba McEntire, That's a Man by Jack Ingram, She Wants to Be Wanted Again by Ty Herndon, and Little Things by Tanya Tucker. Stephen has also had songs recorded by a litany of who's who artists. Let me name this incredible array of artists: Bonnie Raitt, Alabama, George Strait, Brett Young, John Legend, Cassandra Wilson, Trace Atkins, Randy Travis, Joe DiMessina, Josh Turner, Stephen Bishop, John Waite, Craig Morgan, Kenny Rogers, Engelbert Humperdinck, Mitchell Tenpenny, Point of Grace, Lee Greenwood, John Michael Montgomery, Sammy Kershaw, Pam Tillis, Doug Stone, Billy Dean, Daryl Worley, Shelley Wright, Linda Davis, Russ Taff, Daryl Singletary, Dobie Gray, Daryl Dodd, Michael English, and the Gaither Vocal Band, Terry McBride, Larry Stewart, Michelle Wright, TG Sheppard, Georgia Middleman, the Isaacs, Mo, Steve Holy, Hot Apple Pie, Mark Wills, Love and Theft, Forrester Sisters, Jeff and Sherry Easter, Andy Childs, Carolyn Dawn Johnson, Eddie Arnold, Aaron Lines, Gibson Miller Band, and many, many others. Selling over 20 million albums, this Grammy, ACM, and CMA-nominated songwriter has won a Dove Award, 9 ASCAP Awards, has had songs included in film, ABC, CBS, NBC, Netflix, and co-authored the book One More Day, Making Every Day Count. After spending 5 years writing for Fame and Muscle Shoals, Stephen has spent 25 years on Music Row in Nashville, writing for several publishers including Island Bound, BMG Malloy Boys, Warner Chappell, Sony, and Curb Word. As a performer, he's played at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville over 100 times, the Bitter End in New York City several times, Sundance, Utah, and songwriting festivals and venues in California, Las Vegas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, South Dakota, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and of course, Texas. What a career. And Stephen Dale Jones is my guest right now, right here on the Boston Chris Show. Let's get into it with Stephen.
It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. Until we all lose connection.
Hey, this is Ross Gibson. Thank you for tuning in to the Boston Chris podcast.
All right. Guys, what a treat we have today. We have Stephen Dale Jones here on the show for the first time ever. And I'm just so super stoked to have you. I was just telling Stephen how big of a fan I am. I'm a liner notes nerd, right? So, like, I know all the songwriter names and the session players. And so it's just a huge treat for me to have you on the show today, Stephen.
It's good to be here. I was the same kind of kid. I was more interested in who was on the back of the record than I was whose picture was on the front of it as a kid.
Yeah, I've always wondered why that is for me, right? Like, I guess it's different listening to the person whose heart the song came from, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think you can tell a difference sometimes.
Oh, for sure. And sometimes you can't, right? Like that's what makes like George Strait and the Rebas and those people so paramount in the business because they can relate to the song and make you believe they made the song. That just makes them awesome.
Right.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, I have two songs I want to talk to you about. Obviously, we'll talk about One More Day a little bit later in the show. But I wanted to talk about your first cut, which I found to be really, really interesting. It happened in 1986. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Painting the Town Blue by TG Sheppard. This was your first cut. That's crazy.
That was my first cut. I was writing at Fame in Muscle Shoals, and yeah, I wrote that with two of my buddies, Bob Garferic and Don Parsons, and we all had regular jobs, so we were writing. We had publishing deals, but also we didn't get paid anything, so all had regular jobs, and I think we got together about 8 o'clock that night, and I almost didn't go, but I'm glad I went for sure.
So, I mean, how do you not quit after that, right? Like, holy crap, a TG Sheppard cut, like, right off the bat. It's like, man, this is it. I'm 1-0 here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it took me several years and probably 100 songs to get to that point. But
Yeah.
had it been a single, it would have been a different story. But getting an album cut, you still had to buy groceries with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it took a while for you to finally get that first cut then. What's happening during those years?
Well, I grew up about an hour from Fame, from Muscle Shoals. And, as a kid, my folks would drop me by there to leave a cassette, at the door, like some 14-year-old's going to get a song recorded. But then I went to college. I kept writing songs, and I would send songs to Muscle Shoals in Nashville, to Macon, Georgia, to Capricorn. I was just sending songs out, and I think I was about 28. I was living in Jasper, Alabama, working at a bank, and Jasper was about an hour and a half from Muscle Shoals. So I thought, okay, it's time to really, if I'm going to try this, let's do it. So I went to Fame, and I recorded just two guitar vocals, just live guitar vocals, nothing fancy. And of course, Rick Hall was the publisher there, and Rick had produced Aretha and I mean Mac Davis and all kind of people, the Osmonds, and he liked it enough to play it for Walt Aldrich, who was running the publishing company, and they offered me a 5-year contract, and so I moved from Jasper up to Muscle Shoals, or closer to Florence, actually, which is part of the Muscle Shoals area.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job at a bank there, so I would be close to the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned growing up in Alabama. You grew up in Hamilton, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I find it so interesting that you're saying your parents are helping you try to get cuts, like dropping music off at a young age. So it's always been songwriting or bust for you, huh?
It kind of was. Yeah. I really, looking back, and I was thinking about it today because I don't think about it much, but I remember being in the 6th grade and having a short list of songs that I had made up,
Wow.
or had recorded on something. So, but by the time I was probably 13 or 14, I was pretty much all in. I didn't know it was a profession, really. There was a guy from my hometown, actually. For my hometown of about 6,000 people, I'm the 5th songwriter to have a #1 record.
Wow.
So it's really an unusual thing, but but I knew of a songwriter, an older gentleman named Carmel Taylor, and he had written hits for Tammy Wynette and George Jones and a lot of David Houston, a lot of those older real traditional country acts. And he had a Saturday morning radio show at the little radio station here in town. So I knew there was such a thing as a songwriter, and that could be a profession. So I think that, and along with my dad had been in the Army with Sonny James, and they had continued their contact and friendship for years and years. And I kind of knew that things were like that were possible,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was. So I knew it could be done, and I was really never the artist type. Although I've done some CDs, I've played on a record or two and done some backgrounds. And I do sing, do my demos, but
That was never the dream, though.
I'm kind of a bedroom performer,
Yeah.
I try to lock myself away. Yeah.
Man, so what do you think? What do you think it is about the geography there that produces number one hits so readily? Have you ever thought
Well,
about that?
yeah, I have, but I don't know. I think there was a radio station here that would kind of was the center of the universe, for me, uh, and uh, and they were always playing. They were playing, the hits, but also when they would play. And there's several other musical songwriters from this area actually.
Yeah.
And so when they would play a song on the radio that was written by some guy who lived, 30 minutes away or who lived in Hamilton, it really made an impression, I think, on me that there are names and faces behind those songs. They're not all written. Elvis didn't write his songs. They're all somebody's writing most of those artists' songs. These days, more artists write their own songs, but
Hmm.
back then, it was really a songwriter business. Although my influences were certainly, Mac Davis and Paul Simon and Jimmy Buffett and James Taylor and those kind of
Yeah,
singer songwriters.
songwriters. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Man, you also talked about getting an education. I find that interesting as well because I imagine back when you're starting out, mid '80s, songwriting is probably not viewed like you mentioned as a profession. So was that the kind of the going to school was kind of the backup plan for you? Like the passion was
It,
songwriting, but you needed to have something concrete that you could have as well, right?
Yeah, it was. My dad was a banker, so I went to Auburn, got a finance degree, and worked at probably. I had about an 8 year banking career before I started the music. Signed a publishing deal. So, but I worked at two or three banks, knowing that it might not work. So I had to have a job.
And that first publishing deal was with Fame, right? It was with Rick Hall
Right.
and them. And I mean, I imagine
Yeah.
as a young kid in Alabama, that's got to be a huge deal because, Nashville is probably the ultimate goal, but man, Fame is no slouch either.
Yeah. Well, Muscle Shoals. They're again a small town. But just growing up, knowing what was coming out of there, from Aretha Franklin
Yeah,
to Leonard Skinner to Paul Simon, I mean, if, staple singers, Rod Stewart, Bob Seger. I mean, the list just goes on. Clarence Carter. The list just goes on and on and on, and still people still record up there.
yeah,
Just to say they've recorded there, and but um, Rick Hall he was really a tough publisher, but he was always right, and
hmm
he was really hard, and because he was a producer, and he listened to songs as a producer would, like, okay, would I record this on one of my acts, and we would turn in songs, and he would always write a critique, like a paragraph about if he liked the song, or if he didn't like it, he really wrote a lot sometimes. But I remember one time I turned in a song, and um, you might get this cut in Nashville, but it's not good enough for down here.
I
So
love that.
his mentality was I'm going to beat that guy.
Yeah.
He was really competitive, and he was really hard on us, but it was like going to college and grad school all at the same time.
And looking back at it now, Stephen, what would you say are some of the things you really kind of gravitated towards, lesson wise, in those early years at Fame that kind of shaped you as a songwriter?
Well, I think some of the things that are really obvious, and now that I think about it, for all of us, that we grow up listening to songs, to hit songs. We don't on the radio primarily. That's our education. So we don't listen to the bad songs. We don't hear those.
Right.
So that's kind of the school, and you kind of learn that the structure of a song, and you kind of learn what there's chorus, and there's you don't write a 6 minute song generally. So you have those rules and those parameters, and it was basically, Rick was just a firm believer in just write what you know. And one time I early on, I thought I was going to write a truck driving song, and I've never been in a truck. I thought, well, this is. But anyway, being like my ego, thinking I knew everything already, um, I wrote this truck driving song, and I turned it in, and I was working at the bank, and I remember he called, and on my lunch hour, I went over and I'm sitting at this desk across from him, and his seat was always like a foot higher than everybody else's. So, so he gets on the phone, and he's like, "Hey, Joe, I've got this songwriter here who thinks he knows a little bit about truck driving." So he tried to write a truck driver song, and he obviously knows nothing. So I was wondering if he could take maybe a 3-day trip with you just for research purposes. And this whole time I'm over there, I'm waving him off. I'm
No,
like, Rick,
no.
I can't go on a trip. I got a job. So he put the phone down. He said, "Don't write what you don't know." So from that point on, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pay attention and don't think I know anything at all. So he tricked me
Man,
there.
yeah, what a lesson that is, right? Like,
Oh,
write what you
absolutely.
know. It's so simple, but it's also can be lost on you. So does
Yeah.
that mean that most of your writing is biographical, or are you able to write from another perspective?
No, I think it's I'm able to I write about other people.
Yeah.
It's funny where songs come from, but I find that if I listen to really good songs or watch a really good movie, if the writing is good, it inspires something. Not necessarily something that was in the song I listened to or the song that was in or a part of the movie, but it just good writing inspires you to want to write something good. So I mean, really, when I get stuck, if I watch a movie or listen, I just put on you know, some Jimmy Webb music. Of course, nobody's that good, but it's
Hmm.
inspiring,
Yeah.
or some writers that I really admire, that I was around in Muscle Shoals like Mac McAnally and Paul Simon, those kind of guys, just people who are really good. Uh, I know I'm not going to be that good, but it inspires me to want to be.
Yeah.
So I
I've
think that was
and
how
I've
I
read
would do it.
about you too. Like, typically, your process is to write to a title or a hook, right?
Right, right, always.
And so
A few.
basically, is it like hearing something like an idea just comes to you, and then you try to write a story around it?
Yep. That's kind of most of the writers that I've written with. Will most writers, you go into a writing appointment if you're not writing by yourself, and sometimes you do. You go in and most writers have a notebook with a list of titles. And you sit there and you think, hey, what about this title? And I mean, there have been, I've written with a lot of great writers, and Mark D. Sanders he's in the Hall of Fame now. He's a
Yeah.
great friend, great writer, and he always had this long list, and he'd hand it to me and say, well, you see anything on there? And I'm like, and I'll go down and I'll see all these titles that he's already written that were hits, that
Yeah.
weren't marked off the list. But so everybody kind of goes in for the most part. I would never go to an appointment without at least 5 ideas. And maybe if I were going to write with an artist, I would try to have something. I would try to kind of write something that I could hear them doing.
Yeah.
So not always, but it certainly sometimes it helps to get things going.
Well, I know, I don't want to talk about it too much here this early in the show, but like with One More Day, I've seen a lot of interviews. Well, I saw the 25th anniversary thing they put together
Hmm.
for the song,
Right.
and you and the
Bobby.
co-writer Bobby,
Yeah.
you guys, you're writing the song, and you're already kind of envisioning it as a Diamond Rio cut, and then it ends up being put on hold by a lot of different artists and stuff like
Right.
that, but during the
Right.
writing process, you guys are already hearing Diamond Rio from that. Is that true?
I think, yeah, and I think, I mean, he and I had both had Diamond Rio cuts already, together and separately. So
Sure.
I mean, I think a lot of times, when you're writing, you're kind of thinking, okay, who can I hear doing this? Especially that kind of song where I think just the nature of the chorus, that it was, I could hear the harmonies were so prevalent on that, and it just felt like. the acoustic guitar, the piano. I wrote that on the piano, which I normally don't do. Um, but yeah, and I knew also, you kind of know who's going to be looking, and we knew they were going to be looking soon, and you kind of have a list. A lot of times you get these lists of who's coming up, like the next 6 months, which artists might be recording. Uh, but I always thought of those guys.
Are you basing your co-writes on that list at times? Like, we know Reba's coming
Um,
up. Let's try to write a Reba song.
yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That does
Interesting.
happen
Okay.
because it's just so much easier. It gives you a focus. It's kind of like, I think it's kind of like sometimes it's like writing a radio jingle
Sure.
where you know where you're trying to go. Sometimes when you're just sitting there writing a song with somebody, especially co-writing, it's like you really have to communicate and you really have to trust who you're working with because it's like, on one level, co-writing, doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, like in musical terms, it does. You have a composer and a
Mm-hmm.
lyricist, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, but for two or three people to kind of have the same, okay, you know, one person can't start on one side painting the sky, one
Yeah.
shade of blue, and this guy over here, and he's got clouds,
Yeah.
So you kind of, you do have to really talk, through that. And I forgot what the question
No,
was. I
that's
always
an
get off
interesting
on
way of putting it. Let me ask you
but
this way too: if an artist, you have a list of artists that maybe have projects coming up that they're going to be choosing songs for, how
Mhm.
often does an artist actually send a request to the publishing firm? Look, we're looking for songs like this, and then you guys can kind of try to base it off of that.
I don't know that they ever have. I really
Really?
don't. I no. I think the back in the. I mean, it's different now. But back in the day when back in the day, you had these pitch lists
Mm-hmm.
that would go to the publishers, but they were from maybe a manager or the record label, A&R department or something. Uh, and the artists were just so it was just impossible to get to them really. I never had anybody ask for a song. It'd been nice if they had,
Yeah. I'm just
but
curious
I mean,
because,
some
like,
people do, I'm sure.
I can envision like scenarios where maybe the artist has had a loss in their life or something like that, where maybe they're wanting a song to kind of memorialize that loss, and maybe they can put that to a publishing firm or something like that, and then the songwriters can try to come up with it. I don't think I've ever heard that happen in either.
Yeah.
So basically, what if you guys have an artist in mind, like with One More Day and Diamond Rio? Once the song is finished, are you guys basically telling the publisher above you that we have this person in mind? Maybe you could tell the song pluggers to get it over to that artist.
Um, well, yeah, it all kind of works. A lot of times, though, you finish a song and you think you know who it might be good for. Then you demo it and you think, well, this could be, has a little different color to it or whatever. But with that song, it was such as and most of my songs, uh, are pretty much guitar vocal, piano vocal type
Mm-hmm.
songs. I don't
Yeah.
write a bunch of big screamers, I have some, but not many. So my normal process would just be to go to the studio and record it, simple guitar vocal, um, and maybe add a piano part, maybe a harmony part, and just usually play it and sing at the same time with the guitar, maybe add a piano. And then because that should be the song, in my opinion,
Yeah.
so then if it screams for a full band demo, then you get with the publisher and let's say, okay, well let's go and let's cut three or four of them that are, or maybe that you get together with a friend or a co-writer and you kind of do a session together. So you get a full band in there and you basically cut it like a record, and that's how, I mean, I've done thousands of those probably, I've probably done 1,000 of those and 1,000 the other way,
So
uh,
it's funny you say that. We I've interviewed Terry McBride,
yeah.
and he told a story about doing those demo sessions, and he would literally bring out his Ronnie Dunn voice for
Oh
the
yeah.
demo, just so that when Ronnie heard it, he would be like, yeah, we want to cut that. And
Yeah.
he's like, I think that's why I have so many Ronnie Dunn co-writes.
Well, Yeah, there's I used to sing some demo for people early on. I used to do some demos, and they always wanted me to try to sing like Randy Travis, and I'm like, guys, I'm just not that.
No,
If
nobody
I'd
can sing
written
like
this
Randy
song,
Travis. What do you?
I wouldn't sing this myself. I'd get somebody else who's
Yeah.
country,
What do you mean?
uh, but there are some writers. Terry's great. There have been some great, and there have been some demo singers through the years who were like, well, it's got this guy. He just Tim McGraw loves his voice, so let's get him to sing the demo for us. So
Oh man, one of my favorite singers of all time was a demo singer in Nashville, Stephanie Bentley.
oh, I
Um,
love Stephanie.
oh, she's
Absolutely.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
She sang the demo for me on 10,000 Angels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
that's kicking around out there somewhere. All right, all right.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
make me dig, Steven. You're gonna
Yeah.
make me. Oh man,
I
yeah,
love Stephanie.
yeah. Me too, man. What a great singer.
Yeah.
A couple of things I caught you saying. Number one is that co-writing doesn't make sense, and the other thing is write what you know, right? So I'm going to try to
Right.
unpack these things. I know
Okay.
that you've been quoted as saying always write what you know rather than chasing success.
Right.
But I'm curious, are you ever chasing the 100%er, right? Like, are you trying? Because I
Yeah.
know how competitive Nashville was back in the day, and obviously,
Yeah.
if you have 100% credit on a song, then you're going to make way more money than if you have to share it with one or two other songwriters. Was
Right.
that a mentality for songwriters back in the day?
Um, Back in the day, every songwriter that I think that I ever wrote with, for the most part, there may be one or two exceptions, were could be 100% solo writers.
Mm-hmm.
They could write and play and sing and do it all. Um, and I think the problem there is if I've just waited to write by myself, waited for something that moved me enough to actually write the song. I would write about 10 songs a year or less,
Yeah.
instead of the 100 that I would write when I, was the most busiest. Um, but no, I don't know these days in this market. I don't know when there's. I mean, I've watched the chart, not so much lately, but I've pretty much watched the charts all for 30 years, and it is rare, very rare. I don't if it ever happens for a song to be 100%er
I
these
agree.
days.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen one. I'm trying to think of. I can't. I can't even go back and think of one right now. I mean, I'm going back 20 years thinking of songs I loved, and I mean, back,
The
there
last
was a time
major
when
one I can think of is The Dance, right? Tony Arata. Like,
Tony, yeah,
yeah.
back in those days, you had, Tony Arata, you had, you had Dave Loggins,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hugh Presswood, you had some of those guys that were 100%ers, and but but it became a different business model for people like me, especially. Um, and I would end up with every day, 4 or 5 days a week, I would have a different artist who would be coming in, and that's the hard part because they all kind of alike, they all kind of sing alike, they all looked alike for a while there, and you get reluctant to let a good idea out in the room because here's
Mm-hmm.
John Doe I'm writing with on Tuesday, and I've got this really good idea I think he could sing. If we write it together and he doesn't do it, then you know Jim Smith over here
Mm-hmm.
is going to have his competitor's name on this song, and he's going to think, well, why didn't he record it? If it's good, why would I record it?
Mm. Yeah.
So a lot of that, mind games, political stuff
Wow, that's very
really
interesting. I hadn't thought of
could,
that.
could
Yeah.
be paralyzing. Yeah.
Yeah, so like if you're co-writing a song with an artist, like a singer, songwriter, artist person, then you're really limiting your reach as far as, yeah, because you don't like another artist is not going to want that artist's name on their record.
Nope. I
Yeah.
mean, they may be buddies, but they're competitors.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I can't think of that ever happening. I've kept a pretty close eye on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. You're right. I
Yeah,
can't.
I'm sure it has happened,
It's
but
happening today. It's definitely happening
yeah,
today, but I
yes,
can't think of it happening back then. That's for sure.
right,
And
right,
it was definitely a lot more cutthroat back in the day too, which is so. I mean, basically, what you're saying, the 100%er was such a rare thing that it was
yeah.
really just not in your mind. Like it wasn't something. It just didn't make sense logically to chase that because it was so rare.
But for me, that was I had to get to the point where mostly when I looked at the songs that I've written by myself, it was had to be so inspiring or so personal that I had to write it. You know, it just wrote itself. You know, it just kind of okay. Here's the song. It shows up. No, it's nobody. I'm not even getting in the way. I just
Yeah.
get out of the way and let it happen. Or or it was born out of frustration when I've spent a month writing 20 songs that other people's songs I really don't like. Or young artist songs. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit down and write me a song, you know.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But that's there again, you can't make a career out of that. You know, you've got to write everything. You know, and
Yeah.
most writers I know, they write Christian, they write pop, they can write R&B, traditional country. You better be able to just put a blue shirt on, blue collar, and go to work. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
what it was for me for 30 years. It was, and most people I know that were successful, they went to the office every day. You know, I mean, by 9 o'clock they're drinking coffee, and 10 o'clock they're sitting in the office with somebody. It's not a, it's it sounds a little more glamorous than it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love how you're leading me right into my next question. So basically, the business of songwriting is also such a thing, right? I mean, it's always going to be that way. That's why we have
Yeah.
publishers and stuff like that, and that's why we have so
Right.
many fabulous songwriters that are working under those publishers. When it's such a business oriented thing, right? Like everybody's trying to make money, obviously. How do you resonate with an audience knowing that, I mean, you're just churning out all these songs, hundreds of songs a year
Right.
sometimes. So, I
Right.
mean, how are you resonating with an audience and keeping it, trying to reach a personal level with a fan?
Well, I mean, as a writer, you kind of I never think about a fan. I think about okay, here comes uh, Brett Young in here, or Jordan Davis or Mitchell Tenpenny, young guys who I wrote with who they knew their audience, and so you write their song and you kind of try to find something that they relate to, so uh, they know I know what works at the Bluebird. And I can do that, but
Right.
I can do those, and I write those songs. I used to say, boy, this would be great to do at the Bluebird. That was my meter. Like, okay, this is a good song. If it would, go over at the Bluebird, but then the for an artist, they're not thinking about the Bluebird. They're thinking about arenas these days. So
Hmm.
so it's a totally different song. And I don't know. I haven't been to a big arena show, but I doubt there are many ballads in a set these days.
No,
Might be
man.
one.
I don't know if you're watching the new show, The Road, the Keith Urban Blake Shelton show they have
Haven't
on, which
seen that.
so basically the gist is they have 12 artists that are essentially on the road with Keith Urban and opening for Keith Urban, and then the
Mm.
audience votes who their favorites are, and the bottom three get chucked out, and Keith sends one home. And
Ah,
so, like, yeah, some of them are like singing ballads and stuff to Keith Urban's crowd, and it's just not working, right? Like,
will not work. Yeah.
yeah, so you reminded me of that just now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just find it interesting because I know how many thousands of songs come out of Nashville, that pipeline, that conveyor belt, that are coming from multiple publishing firms, and
Right.
man, it's just going to be so hard to find the right songs to resonate with an audience. So, I mean, basically what you're saying is you write the song, and then it goes into the machine, and then the artist and his team or her team is pulling out the songs on the other end and finding the ones that they think will resonate the best with their audience, essentially.
That's that is the in a perfect world, that's the way it works.
Right.
But what has happened in the last 10 years, I would be writers like me or then like my buddies who write like me, or we kind of came up as songwriters. We don't even write together hardly because there's no need to, like we got to have an artist in the room. So that it becomes that kind of equation. Like, it would work best with, I had most of my success later with an artist and a writer who was a great writer, singer, producer, tech guy who could build a track, and then the artist. So it was kind of a three pieces of a puzzle there that seems to really work. I did when I was doing it a lot. But these days, I think a lot of songs, people come to town with their buddies, and they have their camp, different camps, and they're on the bus with them riding, and it's not as much riding appointment, 10 o'clock, whatever we're going to write, and we're going to write all day, even if we get two lines, anymore. It's like, let's write 2 or 3 songs a day, and just as many as we can, as fast as we can, and on the bus or wherever. It's a different business than it was in my heyday.
So you're saying it's basically morphed to where most of your writes now are co-writes with the actual artist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't do many more. I don't write period much anymore. But when I was writing a lot, yeah, it was almost exclusively, because for me, it's like, okay, when I look at the chart and I see that, I would look at the chart and I would see that 18 of the top 20 songs were written with the artist or the producer. Well, it doesn't make any sense at all for me to try to be one of those 2 slots, because to get 2 hits, you've got to write. If you look at the numbers, yeah, I mean, you could, but it might take 1,000 songs to get those 2 slots.
Why do you think that's changed, where the artist wants to be part of the writing?
Well, I think that maybe the business models changed with record labels wanting, pieces of publishing or merchandise, with 360 deals, or, you had artists out there who were who were living in a van, and playing at fairs, and you had songwriters who were sleeping in their own bed, and they're like, okay, wait, let's turn this, let's back this up a little bit. Let's get this artist in this room with these songwriters, or 1 or 2, just writers, and that's I mean, that goes way back too. That's not anything brand new. That goes back. I mean, my one of my publishers way back when I first went to Nashville was Jim Malloy, and Jim's son David was a great writer, producer, and David and even Stevens wrote all those great songs with Eddie Rabbitt. So you had you had the artist, you had the producer, you had a songwriter, you had 3 pieces there that just, they wrote a soundtrack, for years.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. A little bit off track. I'm curious. What is your favorite song that's ever been cut by an artist?
Of my songs?
Yeah, one of your songs. Yeah.
I have probably 2. I have a song that Trace Atkins did. That's called "Every Other Friday at 5," and I have a song that it's called "Without Strings" that Sammy Kershaw recorded.
Okay.
And those are, I mean, when I look at those are 200%ers, but they're probably 2 of my favorites, not just because of that, but I've probably got I've got 10 that I really like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find for it to all just line up just right, but I'm thankful for every one I have, obviously.
What's that one song that you thought was going to be like One More Day level that never reached that level?
I had a song, and I don't know if I ever thought I'd have. Well, since then I have probably haven't, but before then I thought, I got a bunch of. But um, I had two songs. One called "I Know How the River Feels," and that song was recorded by Diamond Rio, by Ty Herndon, by
Hmm.
McAllister. It was just, recorded. It just, I thought it would be a smash. I
That's a
really did.
great song. I know the
Thank
song.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. And another song I had that was a pretty good hit on Ty Herndon, but it's called "She Wants to Be Wanted Again." And
Yes.
and that song was cut by Shannon Doyle the week after we wrote it, and they didn't put it out. Then Lee Greenwood, then Larry Stewart, and
Wow.
uh, uh, Western Flyer, and then finally Ty Herndon put it out 30 years ago, and then he just put it out again recently as
Hmm.
with a duet with Chrissy Betts. But yeah, that those two, and those are, I mean, those are commercial. They're not the most personal songs to me, but
Right.
they're two, in my opinion, really good commercial songs that I mean they got cut. I can't complain because they've been on several records, both of them. So
Yeah.
but they weren't big hits.
Yeah. You mentioned writing with younger songwriters. I know from reading about you how important that is to you, kind of passing it down, mentoring the younger audience. Why is that important to you?
I think well when I got to Fame, I had access to writers who had songs on the charts that week. I mean, multiple. And I remember one of my favorite writers of all time is a guy named Robert Byrne. He's passed away about 15 years ago. But I remember writing a song with him. He invited me out to his house on the river in Muscle Shoals there. And we were watching the Grammys, and I think Mike Reed was playing or on there. But anyway, Robert Byrne had already had two or three big records. Once in a Blue Moon, he wrote a bunch of hits for Earl Thomas Conley. Once in a Blue Moon, What I'd Say,
Hmm.
Can't Win for Losing You. He just wrote, was a great writer. And I'd never had a song recorded. And he wrote a couple songs with me, and I thought, okay, here's this guy. I know his songs from radio. And I haven't written anything anybody knows. I don't even know if I'd had a song hardly demoed at that point. And it just meant a lot. And I think coming from a small company like that, um, I wrote with Walt Aldrich early on and just had access to uh, seasoned professional writers, and just trying to. I, I always like to see that hunger in in their eyes, and write a song with somebody when they get their first cut. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I love that, man, because I mean that's it's important. And we talked to Jan Buckingham recently, and
Mm,
she does a lot of co-writes with the younger artists and songwriters, and
right.
you can just see how passionate she is in getting into those rooms with those people and kind of
Yeah.
sharing her knowledge and her experience. And it's just but Mark Irwin does the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mark's a good friend.
yeah.
And at
I
some
mean,
point, if you live long enough, everybody's younger. So
that's right. Eventually, you're gonna have to write with somebody younger,
it
right? If you
was,
want to keep
and I
writing.
look back, it's been several years since I wrote with anyone who was older, probably. Maybe one guy older, but not by much.
Oh man. Well, you also talked about the Bluebird, man. You have over again just crazy stuff. Over 100 performances at the Bluebird.
Yeah,
This has got to be
yeah,
surreal for you, right? Like it must. For me, it would never get old, right? Like this is the
it doesn't.
Bluebird.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm actually playing Sunday night. Yeah, I was thinking about that today actually because I thought, well, okay, I think the first time I played was in '88, so that's 37 years,
Yeah.
and I've played there. Maybe this will be my maybe fourth or fifth time this year, so they add up. And I mean, really, I mean, when I look back at it, these days, I mean, I know who I'm sitting in the circle with.
Yeah.
But way back, the second time I played there. Um, I'd met well, first time I played, I met Tony Arata, and Tony said, "Let's put them in the round together." So I'm like, "Okay, well, you just let me know." Tony was I think he was working for UPS or for a trucking company or something. I was still working at a bank. And so we did an end around in the middle of the room, like they do. And it was me, Tony, and Garth Brooks, and a guy named J. Scott Miller. So I mean, I was sitting there, and Garth had just signed his record deal, and so and then I remember not long after that, Tony and I would we were kind of they would add people to us. We did like an early show on a Wednesday or something, and we would uh, we'd meet these people, and we'd go around, we'd do our rounds and everything. And every now and then somebody would be really good. And one night this girl is there, and there's some people from A&M Records to see her, and uh, ended up being Patty Griffin, and which I just absolutely love. And
Golly.
we thought, okay, here's another one. Let's see let's see how good she is. And
Yeah.
and the first song she did, we were sitting there, is that Moses,
Oh,
Moses, won't you part this raging river
sure.
of pain? Or
Yeah.
it was. And I remember looking at Tony, I'm like, holy smoke, this is something. And I didn't even know what her name was, so I didn't know what happened with her or anything. I knew she was good enough for a record deal for sure. And about a year later, or maybe a year and a half later, I was at the mall in the record store. I'm like, there's that girl. There's Patty Griffin. Right there. That's her
Oh
name. I
man.
didn't know what her name was, but I remember thinking, okay, I'm gonna look at this record and see if that Moses song is on there. And it sure was. So yeah,
Man, what a great story. Yeah. Yeah, I heard the story of how how the dance got married to Garth Brooks at the
right,
Bluebird. Garth
right.
heard Tony play the song, and that story was told to me by Bernie Nelson, who was also
Okay,
in the
right.
round that day. So,
Yeah, yeah,
just such cool stuff. This is why I do this,
yeah,
man. The
yeah.
stories are so important to me and so cool. Last thing I wanted to chat about with you before we really get into depth about One More Day is raising money. Like, you've had some songs that have done some incredible work for charities. The two I'm talking about are Hope Can Change Everything, which was really not a country song. It was
Oh,
more
yeah,
of a like a pop or rock or something, and really
right,
helped a lot. And then Texas, which was
right.
helped with the floods, or one of the hurricanes, I believe, Hurricane Harvey or something like that.
Hmm.
This has to be surreal for you too, to know that something you created helped raise so much money, right?
It really is. I mean, the song, the Hope Can Change Everything. We knew that was we knew that was what that was for. We set out to write that to try to raise money for I think it was for Detroit, some housing stuff. But the George Strait, the Texas thing was like, I mean, it's great hearing George Strait do your song, and then they did it on this. I think it was Katrina relief, and it was on network TV, and then we had George, Miranda Lambert, Lyle Lovett, um, Chris Stapleton,
Yeah.
all did the song together. So it was kind of, yeah, it's still kind of crazy to think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
just having George Strait sing one of them is crazy enough, but
Yeah, I mean,
then to
and
have the
just to
bonus,
know, like, I guess it's something like $50 million was raised.
yeah,
That's just I would lose my mind just knowing that, regardless who's on the song. Like,
right, yeah.
just to know that something I did had that effect on people, like, just crazy.
Abs-
Congratulations, man.
oh, thank you. Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So let's talk about the song. I mean, obviously, One More Day has changed your life. It's changed a lot of people's lives as well.
Hmm.
One of the coolest collaborations ever between you and another amazing songwriter, Bobby Tomberlin, who
Hmm.
is just an incredibly gifted songwriter.
Yep.
I'd love to kind of tell us the genesis of the song, how it came to be, like early on when you guys are really starting to sit down with it.
Okay. Well, we were, it was, I had been writing at Island Bound Music, and our publishing company had burnt. There was a fire, and there was a really bad fire, so we had to move everything out into like a storage building. And so we were all everybody's office furniture and everything was just in this big room. And at Island Bound, we had this writer. His name was Roger Cook, and Roger's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he wrote
Mm-hmm.
"I Like to Teach the World to Sing," "Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress," "You Got Your Troubles, I Got Mine." Just an amazing writer. Well, his piano was there, and for some reason, I don't know if I didn't have my guitar or I didn't, or just chose not to use it. Um, so Bobby and I were writing that day, and I was just sitting at the piano, and Bobby brought the idea in, and he had a lot of that first verse already written. And honestly, my first reaction was I really was afraid that the title had already been written so many times, because it's like, okay, this it's got to be done, and it had been, but I hadn't heard it and he hadn't heard it. But so Bobby played the first verse and we changed a few things around. But I was on the piano, and I'm a okay songwriter piano player. I'm playing G and C pretty much. But I think, and I think that helped me over the years with a lot of my songs I wrote on piano because it was simple. Sometimes I complicate things on the guitar because I'm a much better guitar player than piano player. Um, so I had this melody, and it just really happened to work. And I mean, I think within a few minutes, we had the chorus was written,
Hmm.
and that was, to me, that was the song. Rick Hall, always said, okay, if you got a chorus song, you put one hand over the first verse and the other hand over the second verse, and that chorus needs to tell you what that's the song. People really don't go, they can't tell you the second verse of their favorite song, but they can tell you the chorus probably,
Hmm.
So we really concentrated on that. And once we had that, it was, I mean, I don't know that we spent 2 hours on the song. And we were very deliberate, and we wanted to make sure we didn't necessarily have to be a song about death, but it worked that way, or just loss.
Hmm.
So it would, you know, I was always reluctant to put a Chevrolet in a car in a song, because what if they're driving a Ford? You automatically knock half your audience out.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we wanted it to be open. It's just about loss. It could be about death, or it could be about losing a lover,
Yeah.
or someone. It was really easy song to write, and I did a little guitar vocal. Maybe the next day we had a little piano part on it, and I wasn't really happy with it. But I told my publisher, I said I want to go back in and redo it, because I did it live with a guitar vocal, and I couldn't go just fix the vocal. I wanted to fix the vocal part. And she said, let's just give us a month with it, and if it's not on hold or something's happening with it within a month, after Christmas or whatever, you can go back in and redo it and do whatever you want to with it. I had a bad habit of just demoing songs to death. I'd have two or three versions of them. Yeah. But anyway, I never got a chance to redo it because it was on hold pretty fast,
Yeah.
and recorded. It was on hold really, I mean, by several people, and then it got to Diamond Rio really probably within a month. Still, all that happened within a month. And then they recorded it, like probably the song wasn't even 2 months old. And it did take it a while to get out, because they almost left the label and all that. It took about a year and a half for it to actually get out. But that was still really fast. I mean, um, I've got a song that actually came out today, and it's 13 years old. So,
Yeah,
sometimes you have
that
to wait
happens
on
a lot. That happens a lot.
it.
I
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
question for you. Just looking back, do you think if you didn't have a piano available to you that day, do you think history changes on this song?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so. Because I remember learning. I mean, I do a lot of songwriter shows and things, and I remember going into the studio that day, and it didn't feel as natural as I wanted it to, because I'd written it on the piano. So it took me a little bit to get the guitar right. Maybe that's why I wasn't totally happy with it too. But yeah, I would have complicated it probably. I would not have. I know I would not have played that lick in the key of C on the guitar,
Mm.
because I just know how right, on the guitar. And that's I don't know if I have a song in the key of C ever, except that
Yeah,
one. But that was in the key of C because I could play that on the piano, well
yeah.
enough to write the song. So,
Incredible stuff. Very fate based.
yeah.
When you and Bobby are in the room, you're writing the song. Is there any additional excitement over this song, or is it just business as usual?
I think I think it's usually business as usual, and because and then you kind of come up for air. It's getting dark. I'm gonna turn this light on. Not that you won't see my face, but um, uh, and usually that's the way it is. You kind of finish a song. Sometimes you kind of stop midway through, and you're thinking, "Hey, who's going to record this? Who
Yeah.
could you hear doing this?" And then as you come up for air, then you're like, "Okay, well, we got it. Let's finish it." But I think that one, I think we wrote it so fast. We just, then we start, oh, I could hear so and so. I could hear down in Rio do this for sure with the harmonies, you could always hear, you know, Ronnie Dunn or Alabama, Tim
Hmm.
McGraw, or or Trace. I don't know if Trace could do that. I don't know if Trace would do it. He could do it, um, um, but even then, when I would write, I would have kind of these voices in my head that weren't mine. That were, I never had a Brooks and Dunn cut, but I always loved Ronnie Dunn's voice. So I
Well,
always
that's because
pretended I
Terry
was
was
writing a
stealing
song
them
for him.
all, Stephen. Terry was stealing all the Ronnie Dunn cuts.
He was. He got a bunch of them.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I think 26.
Oh my
26
goodness.
Brooks and Dunn cuts. Yeah, I think
Now
is
that's
what.
just against the law right there. That's
Yeah,
just too
that's not
much.
fair. Share. Terry McBride, you need to share. Golly.
Yeah. I love Terry. I had a song on him years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
had a,
a
I
he's
had
a
a
he's
song
a
he recorded. Yeah.
he's a great guy, man.
Totally.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
great guy. One of my favorite people I've ever talked to. Just super chill. Man, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you talking with me about the song. It's just such a cool, obviously a cool song. How much do you think 9/11 had an effect on the song really kind of resonating with people?
I the way I mean it helped later, but that was
Sure.
probably 6, 8 months after, the
Yeah.
song had been a hit. The song went to number one, and then it fell back to two or three, and then Dale Earnhardt died, and
Hmm.
then they did memorial thing with a song, and then
Yeah, I forgot about
that
that. Yeah.
no, that gave it some life. Also, right around the same time, I think it was the Oklahoma State basketball team had a plane crash. There were some deaths, and it was, it just a couple of those things lined up, and then of course 9/11. It was sad, but it was used
Yeah.
it just worked for all that. There's a lot of loss during that year.
Yeah, it must be hard having a song about loss that resonates with people so much. It's something that we're all gonna deal with, right? We all deal with
Right.
loss, and those kind
Yep.
of songs is unfortunate as they are, we're all gonna resonate to them, especially if they're done
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know a person who doesn't know One More Day. I told my mom that I
Right.
was talking to you today. She actually just had open heart surgery on Monday.
Mm.
So yeah, so like she's always listened to this song because my dad passed away in 2013. So this is kind of her song for him, reminds her of him.
Right.
So, and I know
Right.
that story exists for so many people. So
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
knowing that
Yeah.
you're the guy, you and Bobby are the guys that came up with that. That's got to be a pretty profound feeling as well, right?
It is. It is. I mean, yeah, it totally is. And it's, um, yeah, we're both very grateful that we wrote it for sure.
Yeah. Um,
And yeah, it has touched, I mean, I never dreamed of having anything like that, really.
Yeah, it's just a global iconic song at this
Yeah.
point, and I mean, just cool stuff, man. I'm so thankful for you to tell the story about the song, and I
Well,
also want to let people know, like, you're an incredible songwriter without this song. Like, you have so many great songs. Like, he gets that from me, from Reba. Like, just such a great tune. 10,000 Angels was. Probably the first song I ever heard that you wrote. Just Mindy McCready, her delivery of that song was incredible.
Right.
Just, Awesome stuff, man.
Thank you.
That you have come up with. He gets that from me. It's just such a cool song. With the he gets that from you. He gets that from me. Going
Right.
back and forth between that, man. It's just a great idea. Where'd you come up with that idea to kind of go back and forth between those two things?
Well, I wrote that with Philip White, and I think Philip had that title probably. I'm not sure, but we had written the song originally was the guy, the dad, wasn't dead, didn't die at the end of the song.
Yeah,
We was just a kind of really was just a divorce song, and we're like, okay, let's just write without you know too much drama. Let's just write a song that it gets this from you, gets this from me. And it was kind of just what it was,
yeah,
not an angry song, just a song about that, And we demoed it, and we knew that Reba liked it, and but she wanted to talk to us about it, and so she called. I was actually with my kids. I was at the mall on a Saturday morning, and she called. And she said, I really like that song. The little kid with the freckles, and it's just like Shelby and reminds me of Shelby and all this stuff. But I think, if we can make it a little more emotional at the end, if maybe the guy has passed away. So, it made sense. Philip and I have written a lot of really sad songs, and we were going out of our way not to write a really sad song. But when she asks you for it, you do it.
yeah, yeah.
So that was on a Saturday, and then we got together on Sunday morning and changed it, rewrote the back half of the song, and did a little guitar vocal on a cassette, and took it over and put it. Buddy Cannon was producing that record.
I love Buddy.
Buddy, yeah, he had so we took it over to his office that Monday morning, and the next day they recorded it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So there you go. That's what I was asking earlier about an artist calling and asking for a song. This is not the same exact situation, but
right.
Just an idea for the song. What a great story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It would not have been what it was without Reba asking us to change the ending. Absolutely.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And Reba's such a powerhouse when it comes to songs, right? Like, I had, I think it was, Terry told the story about If You See Her, If You See Him, and Brooks and Dunn and Reba were on different record companies, and it wasn't going to work because I guess Reba's label was kind of balking at it, and she made it happen. Like, she was just like, no, this is going to happen. And,
right.
So when she wants something, she gets it, right?
She's pretty much been that way. I don't know if she's ever not done anything well.
Yeah.
No
She's
doubt conquered the whole everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. We got Stephen Dale Jones here on the show for the first time. We're going to do our fun segments with Stephen. These are just a bunch of segments I have where we'll put them out as little short videos and stuff to try to create buzz for the show. Some of these I'm going to have you choose between two different titles. They have segment titles, so you can try to figure out what the segment means by the title when you're choosing. Okay. All right. So the first one, choose either Did You Know or choose Algorithm.
Did you know?
All right. So can you tell us something that people may not know about Stephen Dale Jones?
Oh, well, I was, I may have already told you, but I was a banker for about 8 to 10 years, something like that, before I got into music full time.
Okay. And next segment is called Impactful. Can you tell us 3 people that impacted your life in some way? And then tell us the number one thing you learned from each of those 3 people.
Okay. Okay. I say the first person, other than parents, obviously, but the first person is a lady named Martha Nobles, who was my chorus teacher in high school. And she did chorus and she did theater, and we'd do plays, and she was we did musicals for high school. She was the most passionate person I've ever been around, who loved music more than anything. And I remember, I think I was in the 8th grade, and she says, "You're going to be in a talent show." I'm like, and I hadn't even thought about being in a talent show. She said, "You're going to be in this talent show, and you need to find a song to do." So that she was first, probably. And then, you know, then when when you're around somebody like Rick Hall, um, you can't just being around him is an education, and it's intimidating, and just being able to walk in the Fame studio. I used to drive by it as a kid. We'd drive by it going to Florence, and I'd always look over and see the Fame on the building and know I was a huge Mac Davis fan. I mean, a huge Mac Davis fan. And Mac, there's a story about that with Rick. Rick told Mac, said, Mac, you're giving all your good songs to Elvis. I need you to write something with a hook.
Yeah.
And so Mac Mac wrote "Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me."
Yep.
So Rick was just that kind of guy. I mean, he was just it was his way or the highway, but his way was usually the right way. And I saw a lot of people get discouraged, but Rick would always say, he told me, he said, I'll put you in the business or out of it. And it was a tough business, so he knew how hard it was. But Rick Hall was, yeah, he was, and his wife's still alive. I'm still friends with her, and two of his sons I saw last week. They're just great. They're great people. And probably when I got to Nashville, of course, these are music people. My football coach was a big influence, but a guy named Jim Malloy, who signed me in Nashville. And Jim was engineered Pink Panther and the Elvis records and Dolly. And so, just when I look back at it, when I think of, especially with Rick Hall and Jim Malloy, from Aretha Franklin to Elvis, those guys, I really was very, very fortunate to have mentors like that, because they were the best. I mean, they're as good as it gets.
And now you're doing
Probably
the same
those
for
three
others.
people.
So passing it down now too as well. So awesome stuff.
Right.
All right, next segment. Choose either Mount Rushmore or choose one artist.
Okay, one artist.
Okay, so who is one artist or songwriter you wish the entire world knew about?
Oh, okay. Boy, artist or songwriter. I probably it would be the same, and he's passed. But Robert Byrne, who was at Fame, a lot of people don't know how great he was as a singer.
Yep.
There's a couple of videos on YouTube. You can see him doing his hit songs, but he wrote from the heart and he sang from the heart, and great example of how to do it from the heart. I mean, there are a lot of writers who write from the head, and
Yep.
I've probably done more of that than I have from the heart, but he was certainly made a huge impression on me.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'll be checking out those videos for sure, because that's right up my alley.
Yeah.
All right. Next segment is called "What the Heck." This is a game show style segment where I'm going to just ask you 5 questions. These are designed to give you a visual. So just tell me the first thing that pops into your head. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Number 1. What was your most awkward moment on stage?
Awkward moment on stage. Being out of tune.
Just being out of tune,
that happened
or being out of
recently.
tune and not knowing that you're out of
No,
tune.
well, the thing about it, and it's happened to me, a couple of times, and it always seems like it's on one of my biggest songs. Like One More Day
Yeah.
a month ago, did Bluebird with Mark Irwin and I mean, just Charles Eston and Stephanie Smith, and it was a great show. And here I am, I'm getting ready to do One More Day, and I think I'm not in tune, and then you get about 30 seconds in, and you're like, wow, why did it have to happen on this song? So I stopped, I stopped, and I'm like, this is the Bluebird, so you can do anything you want to do. So I thought, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to tune something. So I'm tuning, and then I start back into the song, and I swore I made it worse. So I just tried to sing loud.
That's when you just tell them that it's a remix. Right?
I was singing as loud as I could and trying to think, okay, which 4 of these strings or these 6 strings should I try to play, and not the other 2.
All right, number 2, would you rather go to the mountains or the beach?
Beach.
Okay, and number 3, who is your hero?
My hero. Golly. My dad would have to be, my dad would have to be my hero for sure.
Yeah, I'm there with you. All right, number 4, which superpower do you wish you had?
Mind reading.
Oh, I see.
Is that a
what you're up
power?
to.
Is that a superpower?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Sure
that's a
is.
superpower or not.
I see what you're doing there. Very logical. All right, number 5. Let's see here. What do you think cats dream about?
Birds.
Birds. Okay. All right. Next segment. Choose either bucket list or choose fly on the wall.
Bucket list.
All right. What's on your bucket list of things you still want to do?
I'm sorry? What?
What's on your bucket list of things you still want to do?
Oh, wow. I probably shouldn't have picked that one. I honestly, I still want to do. I would love to win a Grammy. I mean, I got there, but I didn't win.
To this day, I'm still shocked that you did not win the Grammy with that song.
I'm shocked too.
Yeah. Do you
I
remember?
remember.
Do you remember who won it?
Yes. His last name's Castleman. He wrote the Lucky One for Alison Krauss.
I guess that's tough, but no. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody even knows that song.
Well, yeah, that's true. And we lost the CMA to Murder on Music Row.
Okay, well, that at least that's a great song too.
We lost. We were nominated for all those. We lost. Oh, we lost the ACM to Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? So I understood that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally got that because Alan actually did that song for the first time at the CMAs.
I remember
like in
that.
October and November
hmm
live, and then in May, I guess, he won the song.
I'm pretty sure it was his live version that they were playing on the radio too, if
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
correctly. Yeah,
Yeah,
which was
totally.
very unusual at the time. Very unusual.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Next segment. Choose either biggest lesson or choose moment of gravity.
Biggest lesson.
All right. What is the biggest lesson you've learned directly from music, do you think?
Uh, do it because you love it. Yeah.
You look like you're not sure.
No, well, that's I've had a lot of people, a lot of young artists, they're always asking like advice, and and I
Yep.
always tell them like I can't, I would never tell somebody, I wouldn't encourage anybody. It's one of those things that it has to be bigger than you are.
hmm
That because it doesn't really make sense. It has to be bigger than you, and you have to do it or else. If there's a plan B, and a lot you have, I mean, I realize sometimes in life you have to have plan B, like I did with banking, but it's not really a plan B. It's just here for now. This is to get me there.
Yeah.
So I think it's the odds are it's just you know uh, it's a tough business, and I would never tell any. I saw a video the other day on Facebook or something where these guys, this duo, they just got to Nashville. Somebody told them to come to Nashville, and I, I'm like, man, it's a 10-year town, so I would don't, you got to start working, but don't
It's a lot
expect
more.
anything.
It's a lot more
Yeah.
than a 10-year town to some people too. Like
Used to be a 5,
yeah.
then a big, yeah, then yeah, absolutely. Because
Yep.
here, like I just told you the song I just had that came out today. I was in the middle of all, here 13 years later the song gets recorded. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen quick.
You just never know. All right, next
No.
segment. I only got 2 more. This one's called
Okay.
Grateful. What are the 3 things you are most grateful for?
Most grateful for a family who a musical family, loved music. Everybody, my sister sang and play anything on the piano. Both my parents played the piano. My dad played guitar, and there's just both my grandmothers played piano. I've got just a lot of music in my family, and It's just I think that's when you come from a musical family, I think you have a leg up. I think you're already it's just everywhere. So it's not an unnatural thing to do. I hear a lot of people say I was the first person in my family to nobody's musical, and that seems really hard.
Hmm.
I mean, when there's always a piano around, always a guitar, it's part of life. So I think
Yeah,
that's
it's definitely happened, but I would
right.
say it's definitely unusual. You got two more?
Sure. Oh, tell me again what the question was.
Three things you are most grateful for.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm grateful that I'm from a small town of about 5 or 6 thousand people. Um, I think it gives you a perspective and it gives you some accountability and some pressure to. I always growing up, I always felt pressure to play football, and I felt pressure to, so it makes you better, I think.
Hmm.
And I think I felt uh, when I went to Nashville, I felt pressure to succeed because everybody knew I'd gone. Everybody knew, and so I didn't want to go back after a year, get a job at the bank. Say, well, it didn't work out, you know.
Yeah.
So I think having a lot of people in your life who are watching you and pulling for you, So I'm really grateful for that. If I'd been on an island somewhere or uh, grown up in a big city, being anonymous, I don't think I would have become a writer. Maybe. I didn't. I think coming from a small town, you're seems like you dream a little more.
Hmm.
Maybe. So a lot of writers are from little
Well,
bitty
plus
small
you had at
towns.
least four number one hits coming from there, so I mean that's some
Right.
pressure right there.
Yeah,
Don't be
that's
the
true.
first
Yeah.
one not to have a number one, right?
Yes, here he comes. Who's well, there goes that streak. Yeah.
All right, one more.
Okay. Uh, well, I think uh, I'm grateful that I got to do this,
Yeah.
and that I was put in the room with the people that I needed to be in the room with, and to get that first cut, then the second. It's much easier to get the second one than it is the first one. But
Sure.
then time you get 50, it's easier to get the 50th than it was the fourth.
Hmm.
So I've just been very blessed to be able to write with, for the most part, my success has been with my friends. I mean, my biggest, except this last one, probably, or with people that I've known for 30 years, and we wrote together at Fame or started Muscle Shoals, and you know, it's fun to have success with your buddies.
Yeah.
It's really,
Did you ever
really.
write with Mark Narmore?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him last week. We had a crazy song that Michelle Wright recorded one time, and it was a hit in Canada that we kind of wrote as a joke, and we actually had a Marie Osmond cut too, but it never came out. But yeah, I love Mark. He's
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Mark's from that part of the world too,
Oh,
Muscle
absolutely.
Shoals, and yeah, just another
Yep.
phenomenal songwriter. Um,
Totally.
I
Yeah.
actually I actually met Mark in Florence, Alabama, at the theater there. We were both celebrity judges for an Alabama Idol event. That's how I met Mark.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty neat. I was on a panel with him, the Miss Alabama at the time, Tiara Pennington, and
Mm.
Hallie Phillips, Sam Phillips' granddaughter.
Okay.
We were the
Wow.
celebrity judges for that. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that was surreal. I was like, how did I end up here? Like, I'm just a podcast host. But it was pretty dope. I'll keep it real.
Absolutely.
All right, last
Absolutely.
segment. It could be the hardest one for you to answer, though. It's called "Who Do You Think You Are?" Who is Stephen Dale Jones?
Oh, okay. I am uh, a pretty good dad and a pretty good songwriter, and I think those are my two most important things I think that I've had in my life.
Very cool stuff, Stephen. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for taking the time
Thank
to
you
do
very
this
much.
with me. I hope you had a good time. It's a pretty
Absolutely.
fun format. What would you say for folks? What's the best way to support you as a songwriter in what you do?
Well, I really don't have any, I don't sell stuff, I think just support any songwriter out there anywhere, any songwriter nights. A lot of songwriting seems like since Taylor Swift to be a songwriter got much more popular, and then the TV show Nashville, which I love that show, um, got it's songwriting became a popular topic. I
More
think for years
glamorous, right?
people thought songs just came out of you just sent some words to Elvis or to Kenny Rogers and they sang them or something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work that way. So I think to support writers, because it's a tough job, but absolutely people will, you know, will, will do anything. A songwriter is a focused artist, and
Absolutely.
have to be obsessed with that. So
And I appreciate you helping us learn how it happens, other than just words showing up in
right,
Elvis's brain or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, Stephen, thanks again so much for doing this. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Joe Cuellar. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Boston Chris Show.